Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hey guys, I'm super excited to dive in today and talk to you about the top 5 things that should be on your to-do list as a business leader. And this is a question that I get asked a lot from my clients as they're leveling up their business. The things that they did to get them to their first 6 figures is different than the things that they need to do to get them to multi-6 figures, to get them to 7, and then to grow even further. And so what I wanted to talk about today are some things that are fairly universal that should be on your to-do list as a business leader. Now, I'm going to talk about 5 that kind of span most business types, and then I'm going to add one on for those of you who have full-time team members. So let's go ahead and let's dive right in. And this first one should be no surprise to you. You should have profit-producing activities on your list every single workday. And so there's 2 different types of profit-producing activities. There's those that bring in more immediate profit, and then there's those that bring in profit in the future. And so things that bring in immediate profit are obviously anytime you do a launch, doing consult calls, actually working with your clients and delivering on the commitments that you've made to them. Then there's profit producing activities that are more aligned with the future. And that has a lot to do with your lead generation and your lead nurturing, right? So this is where things like networking and relationship building and doing your weekly newsletter and your social media posts and all of those types of nurturing content where you're constantly in front of your leads to build that know, like, and trust and really help them understand you and your brand's point of view to see if it's good alignment. That falls into this category. Something that also falls into this category is developing new programs and offers or improving your current programs and offers. Right? That time that you're investing in those things usually don't give you an immediate return on that investment while you're working on them. But as soon as you release them or build them into your upcoming launch, they then become more immediate profit producing activities. So profit producing activities really critically important. This is something that you will have on your plate as well as your team should have on their plate, depending on their role. However, I think everyone on your team, no matter what their role is, typically has some sort of tie back to profit producing activities. Otherwise, you really want to question why you have that person or if maybe there's better ways to leverage that person so you're constantly increasing the profit in the business. Now, the next 2 that I'm going to get into are things that are very specific to the lean out method. And these are things that I teach and work with all of my private clients on. And I'd love to have all of you listening actually take these and start to leverage them as well, because they make a pretty big difference in your business. So the first one I want to share with you is innovation and planning. And this is where you need to be carving out time to really consistently be working on your business, not just in your business. And so let's start with planning. If you haven't listened to the episode yet where I go into the 15x1 planning model, highly recommend that you listen to that, because doing planning in your business is really pretty critical. But what you don't want to do is overplan and invest an obscene amount of time in planning, right? You want to be spending your time on profit producing activities and things that are going to move the business forward. You want to do just enough planning just in time in order to make that possible. So go back, listen to that episode if you have not listened yet, and that should walk you through how to do your planning in 15 minutes a day and an hour a week. So you do want to make sure that you are taking that time and doing that strategic look at your business and doing that strategic planning. But again, try to avoid over planning so that you're doing the right balance of time on that. But the other piece of this that's so important is innovation. And I talk about this in an upcoming episode where I talk about some of the things that I've learned in consulting with some of the big, huge multi-billion-dollar businesses that I consult with. But something that the most successful ones do is they create space for both innovation and planning, but especially innovation. They do things like innovation jams. And one of the companies that I consult with, 30,000 employee company, and they carve out 2 weeks every quarter for their employees to go in and actually do innovation. And so if you think about the investment that that company is putting into innovation and, taking those people off of actually executing and instead innovating, that's a pretty big investment on their part. And obviously it's not every one of those 30,000 employees, but it's a pretty significant number of them. And you got to think, if a business that big is taking that much of their investment in letting people innovate, something that every small business, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you just have a smaller team, you should be investing time in innovation as well. I think minimally every single week, you should have an hour planned where you focus on innovative work. And that is where you have space for ideation, where you can think through, what's coming, very strategically look at what do you think is coming? What's next in your market? What are your clients going to need next that maybe they don't even know they need yet? They're not asking you for yet. All of those different bright, shiny objects that come your way. And, everyone's like, you got to check out this tool, right? You've got to be on Clubhouse, or you've got to be on whatever the new thing is that's coming. It gives you that space to go out and actually research those things and see if they're relevant and really make sense for you right now in your business without pulling you out of your focus when you first hear about them. So I recommend that you build what I call an innovation backlog. And this is anytime you get that email saying, got to be on Clubhouse, got to start using Reels, right? And whatever comes your way, you can just toss it into your innovation backlog. And each week when you have your innovation hour, or however many hours you're able to allocate to it, more is fantastic. But at a minimum, start with an hour. Go into your innovation backlog and look and say, which one of these things here seems like it's the one that's most worth my time to dive into and see if this makes sense for the business, how we would integrate this into the business, how we would create space for this in the business, or how this new thought, this new idea that we have might influence some of the current things that we're doing. And so that to me is something really critical. So if you do not yet have space in your business for innovation, I recommend using, again, what I call innovation hour, but make it as many innovation hours as you can reasonably fit into the business as the business owner. And if you have a team, it's really valuable to give your team a minimum of an hour a week as well to focus on innovation. And again, always create that space for planning. So that's innovation and planning. That's number 3. Number 4 is what I call optimization hour. And so something you'll hear me talk about often is when you really want to lean out your business, the best thing that you can do is get super clear on what's actually working and double down on it and optimize it. What you don't want to do is spend all of your time trying to fix what isn't working, which is what people's natural tendency is. Instead, you want to lean out what isn't working. You want to cut it and eliminate it or completely reimagine it. And instead, if you have something that's working pretty well and you can incrementally improve that, you're usually going to get a far better return on investment and far better increase in profitability than you are sinking a ton of time, money, and energy into something that isn't working. So optimization is where you want to do 2 things. A, you really want to recognize what's working in your business, look at those improvements and things that you can make to it to continue to get more and more value for your clients and more profit for your business out of it. You want to look at what you can cut. But the other piece of this is you want to also be looking at all of the different things that you do in your business, and you want to be trying to systematize them. You want to be trying to automate them as much as possible. And wherever it makes sense to, you want to be delegating them and getting them off your plate, right? A good example of things that should not be on your plate are the things that are more run the business related. Typically, you should have other people on your team doing those keep the lights on, run the business type activities. You want to be spending your time in what I call more visionary leadership and doing that very strategic work in the business. So if you're doing a whole bunch of check the box type of administrative type activities, those are things that you're going to want to automate. You're certainly going to want to systematize. I mean, I think everything in your business should be systematized, but you want to delegate and get those off your plate as quickly as possible and have either, your executive assistant, whoever you have on your team to pick those up. So that's number 4. That's optimization. And again, similar to innovation, where I recommend you do at least an hour a week on innovation, I also recommend you do at least an hour a week on optimization. Just as you should do this, you should have your team do this as well. So that takes us to number 5. Number 5 is all about self-development, right? As a leader, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it is incredibly important that you are continuously focused on leveling up both yourself as the leader as well as the business. And that's usually a blend of 2 things. It's a blend of skills. You may need to learn new things, especially as you step into new levels. You're going to experience new situations. You're going to have to do things differently than you did before, where you are going to have to learn new skills. But also a really big piece of this is mindset. So as you're focused on self-development and as you're taking your business, to the 6-figure mark and then the multi-6-figure mark and then the 7 and then the 8 and, wherever you take your little empire that you're building here, you're really going to have to continuously both learn new skills, but more importantly, really focus on that mindset and making sure that you're committed to pushing through and figuring things out when you run into some of those mindset blocks, right? Because I think a lot of people go into business thinking, oh, I'm just going to, work through my, fear of being seen. And all of a sudden it's going to go away and you're not going to have mindset issues. And every new level that you hit in business, it's like the gift that just keeps on giving. You get another mindset barrier that comes up that you didn't even realize was an issue, right? And so I don't think there's ever a point in time where we're not working through some sort of mindset issues. Anyone who tells you that they don't have any mindset issues is completely full of it, in my opinion. So I think that, self-development is absolutely critical when you want to continue both leveling up your business as well as yourself as a business leader. In my opinion, one of the absolute best ways to do this is to work with a coach and or to be a part of a mastermind and surround yourself with people who are at that next level that you are trying to get to. And you are going to learn a lot more from them and from the conversations and from the experiences that they have to share than you're ever going to learn taking some sort of course or reading some sort of blog or something along those lines, right? And so self-development is absolutely critical. And I had mentioned that for those of you who have teams, which I hope all of you have teams or are well on your way to forming and building out and growing your teams. But for those of you who are team leaders, obviously, a big piece of what you're going to be doing and what needs to be on your to-do list is that leadership of the team, setting the vision, making sure that everybody is strategically aligned and knows what their focuses should be, directionally on a week-over-week basis. Now, one of the caveats that I will give there, especially if any of you are newer leaders, is your role as a leader is not to micromanage. It is not to be in people's business. You want to be setting more of that vision. You want to make sure everybody is clear what the outcomes are that you're looking for, and you want to give them the freedom and flexibility to go ahead and actually achieve those outcomes in the ways that they feel are best, as long as they are in alignment with the values of your business, the guiding principles that you have in place, and they're ultimately trying to take them towards that vision that you have. Something I see a lot of new leaders do is they're very micromanaging. They tell their team members specifically, explicitly, exactly what they must be doing and why they must be doing it and when they must be doing it, and then check, right? And so that is not what I mean by spending your time leading. I'm talking much more about bringing people together, making sure everybody has that clarity of focus and vision and the outcomes that you're looking for that week, and then being there to help them as issues arise and as blockers come up that's preventing them from getting those outcomes that they want. And so that, to me, are the things that should be your list. So let's do a real quick recap. You should have profit-producing activities. Number 1 are things that produce profit immediately. Number 2 are things that you're paving the way that are going to produce profit in the future. Number 3 is you need to have space to work on your business and do innovation and planning. Number 4 is you need to create space for optimization. Number 5 is self-development. This is leveling up both yourself and your business. And then the bonus one, number 6, for those of you with teams, is leading your team and setting that vision and aligning everyone on outcomes and focus. And so that is really what should be on your to-do list. If you are looking and you have a whole lot of other things on your to-do list other than these things, I would really start to analyze them and say, is this truly necessary? A, for the business, and B, for you as the business owner. Some of those things may be able to fall into the optimization category where you can delegate them to someone else. Maybe you can automate or systematize them, or maybe you can lean out and actually delete and cut them out of your business. So I hope this helps you with your focus. I look forward to chatting with you again next week. Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode.